So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste and a very warm welcome to all of you to the Blub World Web Talks 204th episode. In the last 203 episodes, we have talked to, interacted with more than 3,000 school leaders on this very platform, where they've shared their ideas, opinions, innovations, and what all new are they doing in the education space. तो नमस्कार, आप सभी का स्वागत है ब्लब वर्ल्ड वेब टॉक्स के 204वें एपिसोड में। पिछले 203 एपिसोड्स में हमने करीबन 3,000 से ज्यादा शिक्षाविदों से बातचीत की और उनसे ये जानने की कोशिश की कि वो शिक्षा को कैसे बदल रहे हैं और शिक्षा उन्हें कैसे बदल रही है। हाउ इज द वर्ल्ड अराउंड देम एवोल्यूटिंग एंड हाउ आर दे हेल्पिंग इन इट्स एवोल्यूशन। So today, before we start talking about this topic, there is a slight of a context to it. आज का जो टॉपिक है उसके पीछे there is a story that comes of policy making, of innovation in governance, and how is education and governance correlated to each other. But before we go into the discussion, just some ground rules. So the Blub World Web Talks is a timed platform. So once your speaking time is over, you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It's just to keep the activity crisp and interesting for everyone. Secondly, it's a bilingual platform. So you can use English or Hindi, any of these two languages, जिसमें भी आप comfortable हो. भाषा अंग्रेजी होना आवश्यक नहीं है. अंग्रेजी हिंदी दोनों में से जो भाषा आपको comfortable हो, आप वो भाषा इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. So let's get into the topic for today. So India as a country is one of the biggest living democracies. हम दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र हैं और इतने बड़े लोकतंत्र में जब हम करीबन 1.34 बिलियन लोगों को पढ़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं तो चैलेंजेस दुनिया के सबसे बड़े होते हैं. When we typically talk of India as a nation, we face unprecedented educational challenges because we have to teach innovation to masses. We have to teach entrepreneurship to, millions of teenagers and teachers and parents and everyone, because education is not just content delivery. It's actually evolution happening in front of your own eyes and you trying to contribute to it. So when we look at this perspective from the governance part of it, India had two educational policies before the current one that we have. The current is the third education policy. The first came into existence in 1968, then 1986. Then there was a program of action, not a full-fledged policy, but an action plan in 1992. And finally, today, we have in 2022, the National Education Policies, which is India's third policy on education. And currently, once that policy is released, we are right now in the midst of discussions that the government has kept open for everyone to share their suggestions on national curriculum framework. कि हमारे आसपास का समाज, सारे लोग, स्कूल लीडर्स, टीचर्स, बच्चे किस तरीके का नेशनल करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क चाहते हैं, उसके ऊपर सबकी राय उसका पार्ट हो. इसीलिए एनसीईआरटी has opened up a survey where everyone can go and just click on a button and share their opinion. So today in this session as well, we'll try to know from school leaders or our guests that what are their suggestions. NCF 4 भागों में बनाया जा रहा है. The first one is for early childhood education, then for school education, then teacher education, and finally adult education. Today we'll basically be focusing on two aspects of the national curriculum framework: school education and teacher education. Let's try to know from the school leaders that we have amongst us today that what are their suggestions. उन्हें क्या लगता है कि पॉलिसी में क्या क्या चेंजेस होने चाहिए, क्या एडिशंस होने चाहिए, क्या सब्ट्रैक्शन होना चाहिए, या कौन से ऐसे ऑन ग्राउंड ग्रास रूट चैलेंजेस हैं जो बहुत बार पॉलिसी मेकिंग में छूट जाते हैं. So a very warm welcome once again to the 204th episode. Let's start the discussion on national curriculum framework. Your suggestions. Let me invite the first speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Dr. Shoury, the Academic Manager and Counselor, Directorate of Admissions and Academic Outreach for Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Shoury sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Daksh. Really humbled to be here amongst all of you. Thank you for having me on the platform. My reading is based on a document that I found on the National Curriculum Framework dated somewhere in 2005. Yeah, and just to be able to give some suggestions, I thought, while I was doing a little bit of reading up the last week, to add suggestions, I'm at crossroads where I feel that if the existing goals of the NCF document in 2005 are addressed, I think that will cover a lot of thoughts that I had in mind. Bulleting them very quickly. if we can develop, an education system that, apart from addressing the academic needs, it also addresses the emotional and physical aspects of education. I believe we are beginning to understand the physical aspects, but I'm not very sure how much we have actually tapped into the emotional aspects of education. More so in the social context of today, when when the reach and accessibility has been expanding at an alarming rate. Two is about equality of education, or what I really mean is, if we can provide an education system that caters to the different needs of learners. Can we let the child actually learn at his or her own pace? And can the framework accommodate something like that? Three would probably be around the quality of teaching and learning. Apart from the age-old mark system, I don't see us really moving up the ladder in terms of bringing in quality on the quality aspects of this. Lastly, I'm at I'm pondering myself, how do we bring in creativity and problem solving skills as well? If we're going to continue in the way that the education system is going, I'm afraid these aspects will not get addressed in totality. There is an initiative at Amrita institutions called Live-in Labs, where we aim to integrate the villages of India with the students and an overall development. The Live-in Lab sort of aims at addressing real-world problems, picking up a problem from the real world, bringing it to the Amrita institution labs, solving it, taking it back, and then sort of giving a degree based on that. Yeah. So in a very crisp way, I think these aspects, if the framework could address, would be great. But then, like I said, these aspects are already there in this document of 2005. So am I really suggesting something new? Thank you, Daksh. How am I on time?
Absolutely on time. So thank you so much for the start. Let me try to take some of the most important points ahead in the discussion. You talked about physical and emotional balance. हमने actual physical education के ऊपर there has been a lot of work, but is there some work or some specific guideline that comes in the NCF on emotional learning and emotional intelligence? You talked about accessibility to everyone, because now internet and content, they are accessible, they're absolutely accessible. But one of the challenge that is there, that all innovative ideas in education, they don't reach every strata of the society. So there's a stratified, what I can say, some kind of a reservation that has come into place. There's some kind of a difference that's there. So there should be something in the NCF which talks about accessibility. You talked about quality of teaching and learning, teacher training. Actually, NCF के अंदर one of the sections is specifically only teacher education. कि teachers की पढ़ाई के लिए क्या क्या किया जा रहा है. So it's very important that we bring this to the discussion. And finally, creativity and problem solving. These two words have actually now become, the super hip words in education, because इन दोनों के बिना ना employability है ना future है, तो बहुत सारे challenges खड़े हो जाएंगे. So that's why creativity and problem solving become an important part of the discussion, and they must get representation in the national curriculum framework. Thank you so much, Shoury sir. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Brajesh Kumar Shrivastava, the principal of Asia Pacific International School from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Brajesh ji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Very good evening to all of you. In fact, it's a really pleasure and privilege for me to get a chance and speak about National Curriculum Framework. As we see, the world is changing day to day, and the change required a change in education system also. When we talk about education change in education system, that means we want to meet the requirement of the world scenario, what is happening in and around the world. And accordingly, we must process and plan for the betterment for our student. Early childhood in the National Curriculum Framework, the early childhood That is a very important aspect, right from 3 to 8 years, what they have started, they are planning to start. But only as the previous speaker has spoken, that preparation is also required. We have the challenges, but it's not that the challenges cannot be solved. The government is taking a lot of initiative to sort it out. We see that from age 3 to 6 year, though no bag is allowed, they are planning so. And that means the child has to be given a extra or a type of training by which the child understands well. And probably he becomes better off by playing, by assessment, by projecting something by the teacher. But the thing is, here the teacher concern is again a little challenge. Why I say challenge? Because in today's scenario, what we see, we have planned many things goods, but until unless we don't deliver good, we remain in the way. So delivery is more important. And for that, the preparation, right from the system, the facilities for the student. Facilities, when we talk, it is not that only school building or some of the software. The main parts of teacher, how able he or she is to take up the challenge. Because these kids, if they are given proper training, proper education in the early age, they definitely going to become a better citizen for tomorrow. That is the root cause. And what we see here, the physical education, mental education, energy growing education, some 5 parts are there. The government is planning for it. It's good. But only thing, my concept and my thinking is only this, that to meet this requirement, we need to prepare well. That preparation will give much better fruit. We understand education is nothing is possible in the world without quality education. When we talk of quality, it is not limited only with the books and reading. It is a holistic development of the child. When we talk about holistic, the mind should develop. The curriculum is designed in such a way. The NEP 2020 is already speaking about 5+3+3+4 system. And accordingly, my concept is only this: we need to get up with better information from the world to fulfill the need of our children. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I have taken more time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brajesh. I think some very important points that you raised, and I think something that can be taken from a discussion is that for quality delivery of education, there's a need for a lot of preparation that has to come into place. एक बहुत बड़ा challenge that normally happens in India is whenever we talk of preparation, policies come out, NCFs come out, but the right kind of information, the right kind of preparation time is not given to the schools or the people who are going to execute it. So I think there should be more and more trainings, more and more discussions. And I think that is the reason why the government this time has given a lot of time for people to share suggestions. So ये वो सही समय है जब स्कूल लीडर्स को, टीचर्स को, सभी जनों को they should go to the National Education Policy portal, वहां पे पढ़िए, NCERT की वेबसाइट पे पढ़िए. But this is the time to read and understand what will you be creating or building within your institutions. यही वो समय है जब वो preparation करनी है. So that's a very important aspect of building the right kind of generation. Thank you so much, sir. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mr. Dhawan Kumar, the principal for Radcliffe Group of Schools from Bathinda, Punjab. Dhawanji, over to you for the next 3 minutes and a very warm welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Daksh. I'm very happy to be here, and very good evening, everyone. I'm happy that I'm amongst the intellectual people and more experienced than me. So, see, as today's topic is about the NCF, as we are talking about. So, if simply I'll say anything with whatever we are planning and whatever we have the objectives about that planning to implement. If we do implement and execute it in a such way by giving the proper training to the stakeholders, and then only we do reach up to that, to achieve. So I was saying, like, we are not much capable and much intelligent to give the suggestion how the NCF would be, because where NCF has been designed, and so many academicians, those who are working on it, to have the modification into it. So, but on ground, we people are working. We are catering the rural area and urban area students also. So where I think we need to have it on a rural area. Why? Because where parents are not that much literate, where they can deliver such kind of the support they can give to the students. So here my suggestion would be like the learning would be the integrated learning should be more focused into it. And the one thing is, as already Brajesh sir also the discuss on the physical education, as it should be scheduled and planned from the grade 1. So in every school you to find the music, dance and the sports period. You to find it's just like that the period is there, and the teachers are just going directly, and there is no any framed curriculum for such subjects. So there should be a framed curriculum for SPA, all sports and performing arts subjects. So by that, from the beginning of the schooling, so students should be very good into this. Like for music, if we do need to start the ragas, and we need to teach them, and for the dance we need to teach them about such steps and different forms of the dances, as we need to give them the more understanding to the children. So I think that would be more important. And yes, about the numeracy and the literacy, as we need to focus more on numeracy and the literacy. If the students are very good in numeracy and the literacy, then other subject will definitely follow it out. And of course, due to the modernization and the Western culture, children are somehow they are leaving their values. So I think in NCF we must have something should be based on the values, moral values, that should be enhanced, and children must be taught, and the syllabus or the curriculum should be integrated with the values and skill enhancement.
Thank you so much, Dhawan ji. Skill enhancement, value education, physical education, इन सब का एक थोड़ा और structured curriculum, इसके ऊपर एक ऐसी approach so that teachers just don't go and pass their time out. It's more structured. People know what has to be done, because there are a lot of gray areas in everything that's extracurricular. Extracurricular के अंदर कोई एक structure नहीं है, वहाँ पे format नहीं है, तो वहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा आउटपुट निकालना मुश्किल है. And when we specifically talk of skills, तो उसके अंदर थोड़ा सा काम और होना चाहिए. I think CBSE is already doing something. बहुत सारे तो उन्होंने छोटे छोटे सब्जेक्ट्स को मतलब स्किल बेस्ड कर दिया है, जहाँ पे 12th के अंदर बोर्ड्स में भी वो सब्जेक्ट ऑप्ट हो सकते हैं. लेकिन स्कूल्स के लिए चैलेंज होता है कि सर एक स्किल के लिए टीचर कैसे हायर करें जिसको ऑप्ट ही 2 बच्चे कर रहे हैं, तो वहां पे इट बिकम्स अ बिग चैलेंज. सो देयर हैज टू बी मोर वर्क ऑन accessibility, and at the same time, if you're doing a skill course, how does it get delivered or how does it get executed? Thank you so much, Dhawan ji. Let me invite the next speaker for today to share their ideas on the national curriculum framework. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mr. Milind Phadke, the principal of Avalon World School from Dabhoi, Vadodara, Gujarat. Milind sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes, and a very warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and warm welcome to all of you. I was listening and very happy to see everyone is talking so wonderful, and the experienced people all around. Let us start with the story what Mr. Daksh has said. The last 2 national policy for education started and highlighted with. After that, so many things we have initiated, and further when we zero down to NCF 2000, year 2000, there was the national curriculum framework, which was highlighting mainly about the fundamental duties, especially the fundamental duties, as we all know, abiding the constitution values and upholding the sovereignty, unity, integrity, and the all sort of the nationalism in so and so on. So when we have gone through with the national curriculum framework 2000, there were certain objectives, certain expectations from that itself. So first, before we continue for another 3 stages, the national curriculum framework for the middle and other schools, apart from the foundational stages which has already come. So we need to have to check up about the what shortcomings or what objectives which we could not achieve at that point of of time, because if you all remember the Y2K problem of the ICT and the computer science, which was a main focus in the new education policy coming into the technology, and all sort of things are targeted. We are definitely need to highlight the emotional quotient, intelligent quotient, of course, that was a part of any discussions. But we should not forget about the stress and the curriculum to level up and bridging off, because the new education, the national education policy has included the preschool education, which was also under the ECC program earlier as well. But now it has become the formal one. So the new fundamental or national curriculum framework 2022 for the foundational stages, which should link up to the higher education, focusing the expectations of the people at large, because the community and the bridging the gap between the various level is most important thing, what I feel, because everything said and done, when there is a linkage between the age 3 to age 34 of education till the higher studies, I would say, for getting themselves employed. Because many times vocational education, that is SUPW, activity-based learning, and so on, analytical-based learning, everything goes well, provided the execution of all the planning goes well. Because the policy is guiding force, the curriculum framework is a thing which the teachers, and the freedom to the educators and the teachers, when they are given to make the curriculum as a whole round development for the schools, to make the child as a whole and a holistic learning education in the school, around the school, 24 round the clock into the system. And that is how the citizenship and the proper citizenship we can keep, and the nationalism in totality will be developed. Because most of the things what we are facing is people are qualified but may not be educated or employable. That is also another question which comes into the discussion. And the happiness index is also a concern which the national curriculum framework has to focus at the each level of learning. And because of this, what I feel, key every stage, when we are teachers also feel it, and the educators also feel it, key upholding the entire linkage and overall experience of the child, when we are considering the uniqueness, involvement of the parents, involvement of the society as whole. When we have made a complete package of everything, it is going to be a beautiful scenario to achieve the 2030 policy decision, what APJ Abdul Kalam has set up in front of the educators. I think I have made a summary quickly, everything what I have spoken with the bits and pieces. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Milind ji. And yes, NCF ने बहुत सारी चीजें formalize कर दी. Early childhood education भी अब formally part हो गया है आपका curriculum framework का. And abhi there needs to be a lot more work towards engaging the audience in the right way. Because that's a very big challenge right now कि अगर हम एक curriculum तैयार भी कर देते हैं तो उसके execution level तक उसके अंदर बहुत सारे gaps और lapses होते हैं जो भरने होते हैं grass root वाले लोगों को. And abhi I think this is the time when the government is actually asking everyone that if you feel that there's some problem in the framework, that you feel that there is a challenge in the policy that has to be sorted out, I think I would suggest everyone go on the website of NCERT right now. Their homepage actually is asking for suggestions. So go and submit your suggestions there right away. Don't wait, but there should be a suggestion that every educator gives. क्योंकि आई थिंक सरकार अभी सुनने का समय दे रही है, नॉर्मली वो होता नहीं है. अभी भी देयर इज नो गारंटी दैट व्हेन दे आर लिसनिंग विल दे इनकॉर्पोरेट इन द पॉलिसी ऑफ द फ्रेमवर्क, बट यस, this is a chance to at least read and go through that complete thing. So Jaison sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes.
Very good evening
Okay.
to the panels. See, today's topic is what is national curriculum framework. Many of my speakers have already specified many of the topics, many of the indications, what kind of framework to be developed in the coming years as part of the education policies of our nation. So I'm very happy to say that the national curriculum framework, which is based on 2020, is coming very close to the children. Those who are taking up those who can take up learning as a joy, a part of joy, a life joy of life learning, because it has inculcated, as far as I was gone through the national curriculum, it has inculcated all the aspects of human values and holistic development. When we developed the national policy of education in the year 1968, it has a broader vision, developing independence, post-independence, pre-independence struggles, nationalism, and so on and so. But coming to the next education policy in the year 1992 or nearby years, it has reduced into the state levels. Now it has come to the close to the children, those who are learning, to develop very nicely, in my opinion. So national curriculum framework, which is already going to be implemented through the years which is coming up, is very effective. It will be effective provided the teacher has to learn and the educator has to understand the framework very properly, very closely. The educator and the sub-educators, means the principals, the teachers, has to have and understand it very properly. Because more over the years, the past years, what happened, national curriculum framework and the teaching community has a big gap. They are not knowing what is their national curriculum framework. And the developers of the policies in the school also far away from the national curriculum framework. Whereas the digitalization of education has made it very easier to every individual who is lovingly to participate or going to participate in the education can understand the national curriculum framework in a deep-rooted way and can be broadened. The sense of teaching and sense of understanding, the sense of developing the society, the academic arena, and the nucleus of academic arena is the students, developing the students into a multi-faced personality. Thereby, I suggest national curriculum framework stand as a backbone of academic, taking our country into a uniform way of educating every individual. The skills we can develop with the children, but whereas we as a teacher, as an educator, as a researcher, as a coordinating educationalist, we sometimes side by all the policies we dilute it. We try to dilute the policies. The essence of policy many times has been diluted. There we come into the sense of what we make the crisis. Please, I would like to raise your understanding. There is no lack of skills in our country. We are in the 21st century. We are leading the world. So we can't say our policies earlier, the pre-policies which we have made is a wrong thing. Thereby we do not make it anybody. We did not promote any skillful personality or skill. We did not generate the skill. Of course, we generated skill. That's why the youth is leading the world. But the policy near or before our hand is giving us an opportunity, can provide more skills, we can create more youth with ample of skills in the world. Therefore, we all, as you have given a platform to talk.
Thank you so much, Jaison, sir. The first 3 minutes were over, but we'll try to come back to you again. So let me take some of the important points that you said into the discussion. One of them being that in the initial policies, it was basically teaching India how to be a citizen. It was about, independence struggles, pre-independence, post-independence, and the kind of country and the citizenry that we needed. But that evolution happened, and NCF typically was far away from schools. इसके पहले जब भी एक्शन प्लान आया, एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज आई, तो वो स्कूल्स तक एज अ डॉक्यूमेंट तो पहुंच जाते थे, बट उनका स्पिरिट नहीं पहुंचता था, बिकॉज देयर वाज नो डेलिबरेशन, देयर वाज नो डिस्कशन, देयर वाज नो कनेक्शन. तो बहुत ही एक डिस्टेंस जो था वो हमेशा उसका एग्जीक्यूशन को चैलेंज कर देता था. एंड वहीं पे एक फैक्टर जो हमेशा आ गया, which is that policy dilution. Whatever was in existence always got diluted, क्योंकि उसकी spirit और sense schools तक नहीं पहुंच पाई. So I think a lot of good suggestions came in the discussion, but it's time to nearly go towards the conclusion of it. Let me invite Shoury sir once again to give a kind of a summarization, and if anyone has any points to if they were muted, if they want to add something to the discussion. After Shoury sir, it will be an open floor for everyone. When you can contribute your thoughts, you can just unmute yourself and share your ideas.
It's a real embarrassment we have to give out closing remarks amongst all the learned people here. Like I said in the beginning, I'm humbled, but I think There was one thought which got me thinking as well on the aspect of execution. Um, and also areas that Mr. Jason Joseph also highlighted. I believe these two aspects could ideally go into our summary, along with all the other thoughts that were shared. I believe if the execution is sort of addressed in a holistic manner, I believe we'll get there. Yeah. Thank you, thank you so much, Daksh.
Thank you so much, sir. So now it's an open floor. अगर आप कुछ contribute करना चाह रहे थे, your time got concluded या आप mute हो गए, तो it's your time. Anybody wants to contribute, you can just unmute yourself and share your ideas.
Yeah, actually, this reminds me one important point which in a flow I could not discuss. As we know earlier, it was a blackboard movement in the beginning of NCF 20, even before that, the old education policy, what we say. Now it has become a student-centered approach. Now let the student decide how and which manner they want to learn, what is learning actually, how the things are different, like assessment and evaluation are different, how and in which manner the syllabus and curriculum are different, because the most of the things which we diverse, I mean, the most of the people don't get the thin line between the curriculum and syllabus. We understand, and many of them understand assessment and evaluation both are either the synonym or having a great difference. The education is having the very key important role, as Swami Vivekananda said, what is there hidden among the people to be brought it out. So everyone has got talent. The national curriculum framework should be made so flexible enough that the teachers and the parents in hand would decide what the children will learn, and the facilities and the most of the infrastructure, I believe by the next 5 years is available, which every school, which is minimum required.
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर कि जो करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क है वो भी टीचर के जैसे एक्ट नहीं करे, वो भी मेंटर के जैसे ही एक्ट करे, उसमें थोड़ी सी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी हो ताकि टीचर्स, पेरेंट्स, स्कूल वो थोड़ी अपनी डिसीजन मेकिंग, थोड़ी अपनी सेंस उसमें लगा सकें. So Dhawan sir, over to you. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add just only one thing. Like somehow I think the spiritual learning and the history and our rich heritage and culture must be added into NCF, because if we do ask ki Ram ji ke who is the father of Lord Rama, so hardly the children they knew, right? So कहीं हमें लग रहा है कि दौड़ लगी हुई है और बहुत आगे निकल गए हैं, and the main roots जो हैं हम लोग बहुत पीछे छोड़ चुके हैं. So spiritual learning where do can focus on thoughts actually. बच्चा जब 15 साल का स्कूलिंग करके इस समाज में आए तो वो इस समाज का एक हिस्सा बन सके. that child must have that capability. So we need to make the child as a good person and a good human being also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Jason sir wanted to add something. Sir, over to you. You can unmute yourself.
I would like to contribute that the education, the academic work, whatever whoever is taking up in any place, any arena, could be taken as a joy of doing, adding some value to the life, not a burdenable thing. Somebody has discussed about stress management. We shall not create any stress, and it is our duty as a leader, as a principal, as a teacher, as any personality in the academy. We shall not create a stress in the mind of the children. We should avoid stress in the mind of the children, and we have to waste the path for the children for learning in a joyful manner, whatever they can. The balance which we can keep with the skill and learning, the holistic learning, and what some of the participants has raised, the religious aspects of increasing increment the religious aspects of life too we can make. But always, in my opinion, we should keep a balance in all these aspects and creating an atmosphere in the school or the academic arena that it is always a joyful thing. The joyful learning will create output a positive energy, and it will create nationalism, it will create helpfulness, it will create everything as a family bonding we can create in the academic arena. So whenever we implement the curriculum national framework in the schools or colleges, any academic levels, as the leader in the academic, we need to channelize the framework into the holes, the paths of these things, and make the children into our in this one as a joyful learning in this one. Every day you keep it a joyful learning. So books are very good. Books are very giving out the joy of life. If you create that kind of atmosphere in the school, there no student will have a stress for the examination, because I am experiencing. I can tell you some of the. There is no stress for that. If you do, you come at early in the morning at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock to school. They are very happy to come. It is our duty to create that joyful atmosphere. But what unfortunately I could see in the arena of the academic, we have a great burden in our mind, keeping a great burden. What we can do? Exam is coming, exams are near, this one, that one. So my humble request to everybody is that what you call take the perception of our learning, and it is our duty to that, to give away this perception to the students, not only to students, to the parents too. Please take your education, your academic levels in a joy, act of joy. Then everything will be fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jaison sir. I think Shoury sir wants to add something. Shoury sir, over to you.
I wanted to add something.
Yes. I'm just, the thought just came in as Shri Dhawanji and Shri Jaisonji were just sharing their inputs. I think, see, one way would be if we can integrate examinations with real life, or at least life outside the classroom. If the concept of test taking, or if the concept of assessment can actually be integrated with life, the broader aspects of life, I think that will take a lot of steam off the pressure cooker. Yeah. So thank you, Daksh.
Examination being a part of life, making them so easy, so navigatable that they don't disrupt your learning, rather they contribute to the learning. Brajesh ji, you wanted to say something? Over to you.
I'm happy to hear all the educationists. Actually, it is a wonderful discussion. Today's topic, as we set out for the new curriculum framework, national curriculum framework, this framework has come with a lot of R&D work, and many educationists has taken care of. They must have planned well for the protecting its feature for the future. What the duty of ours means, be the educationists living in the schools or dealing with the kids, we have to understand the real need of society. You must be just, you might have read the news just before 2 days back, 3 of the kids, they have come to suicide in Kota, where the people goes for the, for their aspiration, for their dreams. This stress management, of course, it's very important, but this can be taken off, as the principal sir has spoken from Indore principal, that, joyful atmosphere. That is one way, but the how joy will come, that is the question mark. Joy just cannot be made as a joy until we deliver the best to the kids and we come to the expectation of the society. Our main focus should be for the child growth as educationist in the school, providing them the best atmosphere, a learning familiar atmosphere, and apart from that, joining with their parents, meeting with them, talking to them, making them realize that your child is good as such, because the children, once they are sent off with the burden of parents, they do this sort of things, and that is no good for the country. So until we don't assess the real problem at what level, the framework is very good, but until we don't protect its real steam, then this can't get that success as we have. Policies, every time you find the better policies are being being made by the government, but implementation and implementation, that is the challenge. And for that challenge, we, the educationists, have to play a bigger role in society. And that bigger role in society can cause only good education, quality education, where the children can be better off in their future. I believe there are not many things to say, but since the time will not permit, I would only say, yes, we educationists, being principal, being teacher, being stakeholders, being school owner, we have the challenge. And if we can combinedly think of better for the kids, for the society development, these issues will not remain and every policy will become successful. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this session. This was the 204th episode. But before we conclude, just a small little suggestion to everyone that please do go to the NCERT website and share your suggestions. Let your suggestions go to the government. And when the policy comes out, when the framework comes out, there will be a lot of questions in execution. There are currently a lot of questions on NEP execution. I would just give a small suggestion. Try having more conversations around you. Bring in more school leaders together, bring in more teachers together, because this is the time when we need to talk a lot about this. If we don't put in the right kind of conversation, we won't get the right kind of execution. So this is the time to do that conversation so that we have some good execution of the national education policy in the future ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the Blub World Web Talks 204th episode. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Have an amazing evening ahead. Namaste.